What?
You'll figure it out.
Okay.
Anyway, how you doing, everyone? Welcome back to yet another kill count reaction with the Renegades. This one, oh god. Okay, this one. This is a movie that when I was a kid scared me to death, but watching it as an adult, I can't help but just laugh because honestly, it's
still got an element of creep factor to it.
Oh yeah, creepy as I'll get out, but
it's definitely a dated film or a dated miniseries.
Yeah, and Tim Curry, love him. I think he is really funny as Pennywise. But to me, he's really lacking like that full-blown terror, and also the music doesn't help either. Instead of it being something that is like creeping, like a sense of dread that it is supposed to represent, instead it's like I'm like you put that on top of a fucking cop car and it'd be just as effective. Yeah, so
I still think that Tim did a really good job.
Oh no!
Pennywise.
Oh no!
He's still got some terror to him.
Oh yeah, I think if this film would have had the talent and the budget put behind it that the 2017 film had, woo! Holy crap! I think it'd have been awesome. But we're not here to watch the 2017 version of this. We're instead watching the 1990 version of this, starring Tim Curry and the late Jonathan Brandis and John Ritter. Which, when I heard he was in this, I was just like, "Where was he?" Turns out he was the bearded kid who was actually fat when he was a kid, and is Ben's his name. The kid who was fat and instead got real skinny and looked like John Ritter for some reason. I don't know. Yeah. Don't ask questions. Okay, so let's... also Kyra's here.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, Kyra has managed to make it to the recordings here, and we hope that she will enjoy what we have planned for her in terms of videos that we still have to go for. So, anyway, let's get the video on screen. And let's hear what James has got to say.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at the miniseries version of Stephen King's It, which was aired in 2 parts on ABC in 1990. Originally conceived as an 8 to 10 hour television epic, writer Lawrence T. Cohen was forced to
Georgie
whittle it
and a
down
red
to a
balloon
mere
and a
3
clown
hours.
nose.
A difficult task, given the source material was an 1,100-page novel. Look at this thing. It tells the story of a group of middle school-aged outcasts called the Losers Club in the small town of Derry, Maine. They experience terror and torment at the hands of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, an embodiment of a greater evil force haunting Derry. 30 years later, Pennywise returns to plague the town once more, stealing kids and eating them up, so the Losers Club is forced to regroup in order to try and vanquish the evil force once and for all. Although Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise is the most memorable part of this production, the story of It is one of King's finest, a poignant tale of making friends, coming of age, and facing your demons. Of course, you can't really face your demons if you get killed by an evil clown, and how many people end up becoming victims of Pennywise? Well, let's find out and get to the kills. The movie begins with scrapbook photos and some opening credits that pimp out Tim Curry's appearance, as they should since he's the reason we're all here. A picture of a theater fades from 1960 into 1990, the present time for the adult storyline in the film. A little girl named Lori Ann is riding her trike as the storm approaches, but before she can get back inside, she sees something by the clothesline. What are you seeing there, little girl? Oh, just a
Run!
Clown. Cool.
Run for your life!
Scarier, and then charges at Lori in a first-person shot, killing her off screen. Just a heads up as we start off here, a lot of the kills are done this way. It's a little unsatisfying, but probably a result of the miniseries budget it has. We're just gonna have to deal with it and look forward to the theatrical release of the new It coming out next week. Lori Ann's murder draws the interest of Mike Hanlon, the first member we meet of the Losers Club, and played by Tim Reed, who was the dad in Sister Sisters, so that's fun. Apparently, there's been a string of kids disappearing or winding up dead, and Mike thinks it's terrible.
There's something terribly wrong here in Derry.
Absolutely terrible. After getting dismissed by the police chief,
Call Charles Barkley. He gonna sue somebody.
and it's not just a child actor's headshot. It's a little boy he recognizes as someone named
Georgie.
He takes to his diary to tell the audience that he's freaking out, man, over the picture he just
You're
got.
freaking
And it's
out.
time to get the band back together.
Man.
So let's meet our ensemble cast. First up, hanging out in this mansion in England is Bill, a horror writer rocking an awful ponytail who's busy working on a screenplay. Part of Bill's purpose is to be an extremely obvious stand-in for Stephen King himself.
If they're gonna hire somebody to mangle one of my books, might as well.
I was just looking at
He's having dinner
him.
with his lovely wife Audrey, an actress set to star in the picture.
I was just looking at him.
Their meal is interrupted by a phone call from Mike, who tells him quite
Oh,
plainly.
I'm funny looking.
No, it was like horror writer with a ponytail.
Sure.
And yeah,
You're not a horror writer, though.
I know.
Even more traumatizing for
Man,
Bill is when Mike
it's another one of the things I would like to be, but
triggers a flashback for Bill and our first extended look at the movie's other timeline. One day in 1960, when Bill was sick, he gave his little brother Georgie a paper boat to go mess around with. It actually looks like a pretty fun time for a little kid, chasing a toy boat as it sails down the street along the curbside. The fun times go south when the boat slips into the gutter. As Georgie's looking down after it, the clothesline clown pops up. They have a great conversation that's worth the price of admission alone, since Tim Curry is and always will be magnificent. Georgie tells the clown he can't talk to strangers, so the clown goes ahead and solves that little problem.
I, Georgie, am Pennywise, the dancing clown. You are Georgie, so now we know each other.
Pennywise invites Georgie to come hang with him in his subterranean clown spot, but it takes a lot of coaxing to convince him, including the promise of balloons.
Oh, yes. They float.
That's enough to get Georgie to reach down for a
They
float,
all
at which point
float
Pennywise gets
down
weird.
You float, too.
Pennywise grabs his arm and goes to eat the camera, and that's the way the Georgie crumbles for our second kill of the film. Later we hear
That's
how
the
his
way
arm
the
is
Georgie
torn off,
crumbles.
which is pretty friggin' badass. But again, most of these skills are going to be off screen like this. Sorry. After the funeral, Bill looks through a photo album and gets freaked out when a picture of Georgie winks at him. People forget that pictures moving like that was creepy as hell before Harry Potter came along and made it magical. But not even the boy who lived could make spontaneous completing photo albums not creepy. And what's worse
It's
is
that
Bill
book's
has no one
time
to
of the
talk
month.
to about the changes he may be experiencing
Sorry.
in his photo album, since his parents don't seem to notice the
Gross.
blood at all. With that flashback taken care of, we get our first of many match cuts back into the present, where Bill says to himself that he had forgotten everything that had happened back then. He goes to leave despite his wife's protestations, who says she's willing to go with him, but he tells her no and gives her a very forceful hug. Now on to New York City, where John Ritter is a drunk architect named Ben Hansen, who's so dope he wins awards for architecting, even if he's not exactly responsible for them. And let me just say, I miss John Ritter a lot. He's having a great time right now, though, chilling with his Time magazine cover and playing drunken rich guy grab ass with his lady friend. He starts telling her about how he used to be fat, but just like with Bill, a phone call interrupts him. Mike tells him it's come back and asks how much he remembers.
Very little.
Mike then asks Ben if he'll keep his promise to return to Derry. Ben agrees to, but he don't look happy about it. He gives his lady the hand because it's 1990, then goes to
Says
the
no to his
skyscraper
hoe
and
on the
have a drunken
go.
flashback. Ben was the new kid in town who wasted no time falling for this quiet girl in class named Beverly Marsh, and who also wasted no time falling victim to some post-war bullying by the class greaser Henry Bowers, just because he's fat. I'm putting air quotes every time I say Ben's fat, by the way. That kid barely qualifies as husky. Henry gets detention and blames Ben, so after school when Ben's walking home, he gets harassed by Henry and his crony greasers, Vic and Belch. Yes, that kid's name is Belch. That's why. Henry tries to carve his name into Ben's stomach, but Ben kicks him away and tumbles down a hill into an area called the Barrens, eventually hiding in a pipe while the greasers pick on Bill and his tiny asthmatic friend, Eddie Kasprak. After the greasers leave, the three losers bond over tossing rocks into water, because that's what kids did before they had endless hours of cat videos available in their pockets. Later on in the day,
Hey.
after Charlie teases him
Super
about a love
Nintendo.
letter he's writing for Bev, he returns
Screw
to
cat
the Barrens
videos.
and is shocked to find
Actually,
the waving
I-
image of his late father who was killed in Korea.
just
Brings
pissed
out
off
his
a lot of the
hands
internet.
That's my home now, son.
God, it always makes me sad to see a dad get a shitty new place after a separation. Can't be too sad though. He's having see all float. Oh, and also the clown. Pennywise disappears, and then Ben dodges a mossy bone hand from a nasty skeleton guy who tells Ben that he'll float down there. Not sure where exactly they keep talking about, but it sounds like some kind of underground zero-G simulator. The flashback ends and adult Ben is sad. Now let's blast on over to Chicago to meet up with Bev, a successful fashion designer. She's dating a stereotypical 80s businessman whose favorite movie is definitely Wall Street for all the wrong reasons. This guy is a super doucher.
Bevy, don't ever contradict me in front of Pam again, okay?
So he probably won't be the most understanding when Bev gets a call from Mike later that night. In fact, when he comes back and finds her packing, he gets so incensed that he straight up slaps her in the face, then threatens her with a belt. Bev knows getting back to Derry is super important though, so she throws shit at him and leaves. In the taxi ride to the airport, she has her own little flashback to her childhood in 1960. She remembers a time she found a poem on her porch, which was unbeknownst to her left by Ben. When her father finds her with the note and reads it, he gets scary pissed enough to slap her in the face. Damn, man, can people stop slapping Bev in the face maze for just like 5 minutes, please? She runs away from her dad and Ben comforts her, then takes her to the Barrens to meet Eddie and Bill. Ooh, she liked Bill. Then they're joined by 2 more losers. Richie Tozier is played by Seth Green and is the kind of guy who's probably funny for like 5 minutes, then just a real drag to be around. The other dude is Stanley Uris, an uptight Jewish kid who wears that scout uniform a lot. I don't know, maybe it helps him get the ladies or something. They bond over.
It helps them stand out.
Build a dam together out of wood and old car parts, I guess. And by the end of it, their dam is successful, and they've learned the power of friendship, and they're free to splash around in what surely must be disease-ridden Stillwater. On the way home, Bev looks longingly after Bill and quotes Ben's poetry, apparently thinking Bill is the author. Sorry about your luck, Ben. When Bev's getting ready for bed that night, she hears a few voices coming from inside the sink saying that everything floats down there. Who's down there, you might ask?
I'm Matthew O'Connor. We're all the dead kids.
Yep, all the dead kids. Every last one, I guess. Then a balloon inflates and blows up, and it splatters blood everywhere. But when Bev gets her dad to come help her, it doesn't look like anything to him. The blood-spurting sink warns Bev that she'll die if she tries to fight Pennywise, and she sinks to her bathroom floor just in time for a match cut back to the present. Still got 3 losers to go, so on to New York, where a grown-ass Eddie is on his way out the door, having gotten the call from Mike off screen. His mother frets about, telling him there's nothing back in Derry for him, but Eddie takes off in a limo of the company he owned, ready to match cut his way back to 1960. His flashback takes place in the Paramount, that movie theater from the opening credits, where the losers watch the Wolfman movie. After Eddie accidentally kicks his popcorn over the balcony onto Henry and the other greasers, Richie takes them all to the danger zone, purposefully pouring his soda all over their heads. The losers run away from the
Richie's a friggin' asshole, and I love him.
He's having the time of his life until his mom comes out and shoos his friends away. She reminds him not to shower at school because of germs, but the gym teacher tells him he needs to so he won't be a smelly boy. Eddie heads to the showers by himself, and the faucets start taking on a mind of their own, getting hotter and expanding out from the wall to start covering Eddie and blocking him in from escaping. Then things get even weirder when clown hands start coming out of the drain. Pennywise pulls apart the shower floor and pops out of it like some kind of evil clown Diglett. He teases Eddie for a while before putting on his scary face. Oh boy, Tim Curry, you are one scary, evil fucking clown, dude. Even the movie's like, that's enough of that shit.
Yeah, effectively.
Wrap up Eddie's relatively short flashback. Next loser up is Richie in Beverly Hills. If you thought he was obnoxious as a goofster preteen, then hold on to your butts, because now he's an 80s stand-up comic, and it doesn't get much worse than that. Plus, he's not Seth Green anymore, so that sucks. He's doing well, though, performing on TV, but Mike's phone call brings back memories so upsetting he slides all up next to his toilet to pray to the match-cut god. His prayers are answered, and we're taken back to 1960 to story time with the kids. They talk about what they want to be when they grow up, and Billy looks like he's going to tell them about the bloody photo album, but then a super Irish cop interrupts them and tells them they should always
hello there, you little
kids
bastards.
be disappearing, yo. They put their hands in and tell officers,
Top of the morning to you, little bastards! What are you doing back here? You're running from a killer clown! So am I. I just need to stop drinking so much. Sorry. I'm sorry. I had to do it.
hard to stay safe at school when you've got murderous greasers about, though. Richie manages to keep his spirits up.
Harry, Curly, and Mom.
Beep, Richie.
And even follow up his soda trick with some lunch food to the chest. He runs into a teacher who demands he clean up his mess, but when Richie goes to the basement to get a mop, he's greeted by a freaking werewolf. The werewolf costume doesn't look great, but, you know, just pretend it looks awesome, and maybe you can imagine the terror Richie's supposed to be feeling right now. As Richie's running away, the werewolf turns into Pennywise,
Beep, Richie.
who plays that hit single of his that everyone always loves to hear.
They all
Then he gets all
He did
cool and sexy
overuse
on
that
Richie.
line a
Although,
little
to be
in the
fair,
first one.
Anything Tim Curry does is sexy, so I'm not even sure he was trying. Seth Green Richie goes to bed terrified that night, and Match cuts his way back to 80s stand-up comic Richie. Back in the Derry library, Mike looks at a photograph and decides that it's a good time to have a flashback of his own. So he reminisces about the time he was giving a presentation in class on the historical disasters that have befallen Derry. He earns the ire of Henry Bowers and his new expanded group of greasers for being black, so they chase him down the street and into a gravel pit construction area. Here the other losers are hanging out and talking about how they've all seen Pennywise now, except for Scout Trooper Stan, who's skeptical of the whole situation. Stan's too logical for this kind of thing.
Such a thing just isn't empirically possible.
But the others assure him it's real and the cause of all the missing children lately. When Mike runs into them for help, they defend him from the greasers by throwing rocks at him. Nothing like a good old-fashioned rock fight to really get the juices flowing. And besides, that's what kids
Me
do
and my
back
cousins
then.
actually
They just
did
get into
that.
flame wars with each other on
I-
Twitter to scare the bullies away, but not
That's
before
flame war on
promises to
Twitter.
Kill them all someday. Mike officially joins their club and they become 7.
Lucky chef.
They take a group picture together to commemorate the formation of their group, and honestly, I took a very similar group picture with my nerdy friends back in high school at a construction.
Hey, there he
yard
is.
we go play airsoft. Yeah, I'm the one with the center part of the Star Wars shirt. The kids go through the
I knew it was him before he even said anything. I was like, there he is.
It's not a man.
it.
And the pages freak out, and another still comes to life with Pennywise running up to the kids and telling them he'll kill them all, and that he's everything they've ever been afraid of. He reaches out to grab them, and it's way too much for Stan, who shuts the album and tries to deny what they all just saw. He finally admits that he saw it, but he's reluctant to join in the club's call to action to do something about it. But after Bill gives an impassioned plea for them all to help him kill it, they huddle up in a friendship hug and agree. Mike wakes up from his flashback, and his section ends with a scary balloon pop. Spooky. If you're counting along, you know there's only one more loser to meet, so we head to Atlanta, Georgia, where Stan is living a very comfortable life. Oh, and he's played by Richard Monster, who was Clark the dog handler in The Thing. Looks different without a beard or a bullet in his forehead. He gets the phone call from Mike, but Stan's real freaked out and says he can't promise he'll make it back to Derry with the rest of them. He leaves his wife to go upstairs and run a bath, and yep, you guessed it, match cut his way back to 1960. The Lucky Seven are practicing with a slingshot, shooting at cans and glass bottles in the creek because that's what kids did before they had hyper-realistic first-person shooters to play. They all suck at it except Bev, who shoots a perfect 10 out of 10 and is thus designated the party's ranged attacker. Richie hooks her up with a magical item, some solid silver earrings, and the kids figure that as long as they believe in it, those babies can kill Pennywise. Sufficiently armed and leveled up, the kids head to the sewers, stopping only to reaffirm their friendship with a bunch of puffs on Eddie's inhaler. Although Stan is kind of reluctant and the last one to do it. Stan? They head inside, unaware that Henry and his cronies are watching them, ready to follow them in and make sure they never come back out. Kids killing other kids, you know, it's what they did before internet. Inside the sewer, Henry launches a plan that involves Vic going off by himself to corral the kids into an ambush by Henry and Belch. This doesn't work out so great for Vic, though, because a super bright light starts moving underneath the floor towards where he's standing, eventually popping out of a grate and coming at him for another POV kill, getting all up in his face with them bright lights, kind of like a cop waving a flashlight in a drunk driver's face. The kids venture deeper into the sewers, only to have Stan get grabbed by Henry and Belch, who reminds him what his name is. He burped, he gets me every time. Henry takes his knife and starts picking off Stan's buttons, but before he can get super psycho murder greaser on him, that bright light be coming down the pike again, and it's headed straight towards those kids. Oh shit! It bursts out of the pipe, knocking away Henry and Stan, and sucking up Belch back into the pipe. Belch gets folded in half and pulled into the pipe for a bloodless yet still pretty eerie
that was a cool scene.
That was, I was just like, what the frick?
Hello to the boys again, but Stan's smart enough to GTFO while Henry sits there dumbfounded. We don't get to see what he does, but whatever it is, it scares him enough to turn his hair white. The light ignores him for now, though, opting instead to chase Stan down the tunnels as he runs to reunite with his friends. They huddle up together and fall to the ground as the light approaches them and passes overhead, where we get a glimpse of the thing's bright light underbelly. I don't know, guys, that might just be a TMNT float with some sick LEDs on it. It might be okay. After it passes over them, a fog fills the chamber. I love the smell of sewer fog in the morning. And then all the kids start seeing things that scare them, like a little dead Georgie for Bill, abusive Papa Marsh for Beverly, and some manicured werewolf claws for Richie. Stan tries to find his center by repeating the scout oath to himself a whole bunch of times, but that doesn't stop Pennywise from appearing out of nowhere and then kidnapping poor Stan away from the group. He tells Stan to be afraid.
You all taste so much better when you're afraid.
And laughs at their threat to kill him because, as he says, he's eternal and the eater of worlds. Right as he goes to nom down on Stan, though, Eddie steps up to the plate to be a hero.
This is battery acid, you slime!
Believing makes it real, so Pennywise's face starts melting off, and Bev takes her one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow, Bev. She doesn't. She hits him in the head, causing a bright light to shine out. But before she can get off a second shot for a confirmed kill, Pennywise flip jumps his way to freedom, hopping straight into a drain with a special effect that doesn't quite hold up. Sorry, miniseries it. Bill grabs his hand in an attempt to keep him from escaping, but the hand becomes a claw and Pennywise gets away. The kids have no choice but to hope that they did enough damage to kill it, so they leave despite Bill's desire to follow. Outside the sewer, Bill makes them all swear an oath
That if it isn't dead, we'll come back.
One by one, the kids all put their hands in and swear allegiance, although Stan takes a while and is the last to do so. Stan's really not coping with this whole thing that well, guys, a point that's proven when we jump back to 1990 and his wife comes upstairs to find him in the bathtub with his wrist slit. Stan has killed himself, simply too terrified and unwilling to face Pennywise once more. He leaves a bloody note on the wall, and part one of it concludes with his wife screaming in anguish. And that's going to be it for today, kids. The miniseries aired in 2 parts back in 1990, and I'm going to have to give it the same treatment with the kill count, because there's just too much story to fit into a single video. So far, we've got 5 kills, though, which is a little more than you were expecting, I'm sure. How many more are left? We'll find out on Friday when I release part 2 of this video. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Hey, guys, thanks a lot for watching.
Well,
Noise.
yes.
You want to go straight into 2 or save it?
Let's just slam a jamma, as I've heard some people say.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're continuing our look at the miniseries version of Stephen King's It. The series was aired in 2 parts on ABC in 1990, and similarly, I had to make my Kill Count coverage a 2-parter because there's just too much damn story to tell. If you need to watch part 1, where 5 people have died,
I'm trying to remember how
click the
part
bubble
2
in the upper
goes.
right corner of this video to check it out.
I was thinking part 2 was just basically only the adult part.
Yeah, except flashback to some degree with the
back home in Derry, Maine.
with the
He visits his little brother's tombstone, but gets his morning session interrupted by
with
Pennywise digging some graves.
Stanley
There's 7
thing.
of them, but one of them's Phil. It's with Stan. Bill tells Pennywise he's not afraid of him, not very convincingly, I might add. Then heads to.
Wait, Stan was Jewish, right?
I don't remember.
I think so.
Could be.
That doesn't make sense.
Pennywise doesn't know that.
Or maybe he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what would have been funny if Bill would have looked at that and said Stan was Jewish. He'd have probably gone, "Oh shit!" Goes over and cuts the sides off of it and goes and finds some pieces of plywood and just hammers on a Star of David. He's like, "Better?" Oh shit, he's gone. Oh well.
That would have been an unnecessarily comical scene. For that
would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
Stan was Jewish. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to it.
Bill tells Pennywise he's not afraid of him, not very convincingly, I might add, then heads to the library where he and Mike reunite with a solid-looking manhunt. Bill admits that he doesn't really remember
Bro
anything, and
hug.
if you hadn't noticed, none of them really do except for Mike, probably because he never left Derry. Mike says he has something that'll help jog Bill's memory, and it's his old bike Silver. They fix it up and then have a grown-ass men riding a bicycle montage, completely teeter-totter up and down, and the bullfighter special. It's a sweet montage, I guess, but I'm more than happy when it ends on a creepy note after they spill cards on the ground and see Pennywise on the back of them. Next to arrive back in Derry is Richie, who's outraged by the closing of the Paramount Theater and even more outraged at the latest film they're playing. Oh, never heard of that one. What's it got on Rotten Tomatoes? He gets to the library, but since Bill and Mike are out doing their Butch and Sundance montage, he has to sit there and wait for him. Pennywise waits with him, offering him a balloon for his trouble. But Pennywise, what if one balloon's not enough? Haha, that's better. I could do without the blood stuff, though. Richie gets blood all over his face, looking like the world's messiest vampire, while Pennywise sits on the balcony and cracks jokes.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
Guys, if you ever find yourself having
That's why you did that. I forgot about that.
Pennywise is here, consider yourself #blessed. Richie's not impressed by Pennywise Pablum stand-up, though, so he pieces out. Taking a taxi into town is Ben, who has his driver pull over so he can hike on down to the Barrens and say hello to his old friend, Moldy Skeleton Guy. Yo, what up, MSG? You haven't aged a bit. Back in the taxi, he has another couple of visions. First one of Pennywise standing on the side of the road, and then an ominous balloon in his cab. Eddie pulls into town next and heads to a pharmacy where he remembers a time from his childhood when the pharmacist revealed to him that his inhaler wasn't actually any medicine. It was just a placebo designed to make him feel better. Adult Eddie overhears the same pharmacist in the back, now an old man, and after a brief heart-to-heart, the old guy grabs his arm and gets creepy.
Get out of Derry while you still can.
Old Eddie gets out of there. The last loser to arrive in Derry, since, Stan's dead, is Beverly, who's paying a visit to her old house. She finds out her dad died 5 years ago, but the old lady living there now welcomes her inside for some tea and memories. Things start getting weird fast. The old lady chugs her tea noisily, her teeth all of a sudden look like she's been a lifetime tobacco chewer, and oh yeah, Bev's tea is actually a cup of blood. Bev's on a strict no-blood diet, though, and while the old woman is cleaning up the broken teacup, she turns into the freakiest looking corpse thing in this entire movie, then starts talking like Bev's dad.
I worry about you, Bevy. I worry a lot.
Bev flees, and when she's safely outside the house, she looks back to see Pennywise doing his thing. Then she looks again and sees that the house is actually boarded up and abandoned. One balloon closes out Bev's little segment here. Then we unexpectedly jump back to England, where Bill's wife is chatting with a guy involved in that movie he was working on. The suit tells Audra not to mess up her career by ditching the production, but she's so concerned about Bill that she ignores his advice and gets a ticket on the next main-bound plane. It's finally time to get everyone back together, and what better place than a Chinese restaurant? Eddie and Ben are the first to arrive, and while they're hugging it out, Bill and Mike walk in, no doubt exhausted from their day of riding bike together. Richie loses his nerve when he sees them at first, but after a pep talk to himself in the bathroom mirror, he returns to them with his shtick dialed up to 11.
All right, who got bald, who got wrinkled, and how many got chillin' got wings? Beep, beep, Richie.
Finally, Bev walks in, and the guys are all stunned. Annette O'Toole is a very pretty lady. She greets them all with hugs and kisses, an especially sultry kiss for Bill. Damn, Bill, you got a wife, dude. Then they toast to the Losers Club and have, what the hell, another montage? Yeah, this one's even longer than the bike thing, and it's just them feasting out and dicking around. Man, I hate adult Richie. They start catching up each other and the audience as the camera swings around them over and over and over and over and over again. Anyone else feel nauseous? They mention how Henry Bowers was to blame for all the missing and murdered kids back in 1960, but nobody would believe all his clown talk. Now Henry's hanging out in a psych ward down the way, a sad old man just trying to get some sleep, but he can't because the goddamn moon keeps talking to him and won't shut the hell up. Moon Pennywise tells Henry he's got work to do.
It's the man in the moon.
And finish killing all the losers there. Henry's all like, yeah, Mr.
It's Andy Kaufman.
Sounds good to me.
Run!
Henry boys, I guess. The losers are finishing up their dinner with a round of fortune cookies, and their fortunes end up being way worse than vague platitudes on thin strips of paper. Instead, it's stuff like blood and cockroaches and freaking eyeballs and this little crab thing that looks like a Happy Meal toy. Oh, and a dead baby bird, but that might just be an order of balloon. The crew takes refuge in Mike's library, where Richie just goes on and on and on. Holy shit, if I die and go to hell, it'll be in the audience of a never-ending 80s stand-up comic show.
It's great to be back in Derry, breathing in that old Derry air. Beep, beep, Richie.
Yeah, Richie, beep fucking beep. The only thing that gets him to finally shut up is the news that Stan's dead, baby. Stan's dead. Obviously, this brings the room down, and Bill reminisces about a time he saved Stan from something scary he saw. Apparently, one time Stan got called into a big old house by a mysterious voice, and once he was inside, the door locked behind him, and down the stairs came a mummy. Damn, man, just breaking out all the classic monsters for this movie, huh? And apparently Frankenstein and the creature from the Black Lagoon are in the book, too. Eddie talks about how Stan was the only one to see its true form in the sewer, and mentions something Stan told him.
He said, I looked into its deadlights, and I wanted to be there.
When they go for a drink in Mike's work fridge, they instead get a bunch of balloons that all float, and Stan's decapitated head, which roasts each one of the crew in turn, then converts into Pennywise's voice for his big show-stopping finale.
We all float down here. They all float.
God, I love it when he does that one. They all float down here. It's a classic. The library starts going all paranormal activity on the gang until they do a friendship huddle and shut that shit down. They wisely get the idea to ditch the creepy library and head someplace else for the night. Back at the psych ward, Henry gets a visit from an undead Belch who he has a telepathic conversation with. Belch tells him he's going to bust him out so he can contract Henry out to kill the losers one by one, and gives him his old switchblade as a signing bonus. As Henry approaches the exit, the security guard Kuntz steps out to rough him up, but it steps in to intervene, appearing as a clown with a freaking Doberman head and knocks Kuntz down, killing him in the standard slow-motion point-of-view shot that this miniseries leans way too heavily on, but probably had to because, you know, it was a network miniseries. Now at a quaint hotel, Mike catches everyone up, reminding them of all the kids that were disappearing in 1960. He tells them that every 30 years, some evil shit goes down in Derry.
In 1930, the explosion down at the old ironworks. In 1900, the massacre at Drake's Creek.
They remember grown-ups who refused to acknowledge the evil in their town, like a teacher and the old guy across the street from Bev who ignored her when she was getting harassed by Henry Bowers. Mike reflects how they have to stay together to be strong, and about how they're all special for some reason.
6 of you left Derry and became unusually successful.
While Mike's circle-jerking everyone's egos, Audra pulls into town at an old gas station, and the attendant turns into Pennywise.
Don't you want your balloon first, Miss Denver?
Then Pennywise gets real sexy creepy with her.
Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Don't you want it?
I mean, I kind of do, but mostly because you're Tim Curry. Audra's not quite dead yet, though, so she avoids being added to the kill count for now. The gang shoots the shit some more, Ben telling everyone how he lost all his weight, and Bev telling them that as a child she felt like she was going insane over the bloody sink business until the day they all came over and confirmed that it was real, then helped her clean it up.
I fell in love with all you guys that day.
I'm not sure, but I wonder if that line is a reference to an infamous scene that happens in the book, but doesn't happen in this movie and won't happen in the new one.
Thank God.
Just look up Stephen King's It Gangbang. Or, you know, maybe don't. Despite Mike's
don't.
Split up, some of the guys do briefly separate when they go upstairs to grab clothes and stuff. And during this separation, they get hit by evil shit, because that's what happens in Stephen King stories. For instance, Bev comes into Ben's room and recites his old poem about her, revealing that she eventually figured out it was him who wrote it, not Bill. They start making out, but when he sneaks a peek in the mirror to get a look at dad ass, it's these unflattering clown pants he sees in the reflection. Yep, dude, you were just swapping spit with Pennywise.
Kiss me, fat boy.
I forgot about that.
Kiss me, fat boy.
Ben and Eddie break into Mike's room and in the process, Henry stabs himself in the chest, killing him to rid the group of evil Danny Zuko once and for all.
Evil Danny Zuko. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Giving us the
Myself
7
accidentally.
miniseries a whopping 2 hours and 33 minutes in. The gang rushes Mike to the hospital and stays overnight, Bev complaining that it is a real big meanie. When Ben comforts her, she recites his poetry to her, freaking him out because of the whole clown pants dalliance he had the night before.
Damn it, Bev, is that you in there? Is that the clown?
She assures him she ain't got no clown inside, and they make sweet, sweet lip love. Back inside, they're given an update on Mike by a doctor played by a dude who couldn't give less of a shit about this role.
He's not out of the woods yet. I guess one of you could go in for just a minute.
Mike gives Bill the silver earrings and tells him that he went back into the sewer by himself 10 years ago when he was feeling down in the dumps and willing to let it kill him for all he cared. Instead, he found those earrings and knew they'd come back in handy one day. The gang covers up Henry's body at the hotel and prepare to get the hell out of town. Richie overhears the television talking about the latest victim found in Derry, a 5-year-old little girl. Do I add her to the count or not? I'm gonna go with no because it's a news report. Sorry, no inflated statistics for you. The gang is all ready to hightail it back to their respective homes, but Bill gives a moving speech that harkens back to when they were kids.
This time I'm gonna kill it.
Help me. Help me.
Another friendship huddle affirms the others will stay as well. Get in, losers. We're going it hunting. The party gears up once more with Bev's slingshot and Bill's magic silver earrings, but Richie's a bit of a sourpuss and complains about the whole thing. Not enough to run off, though. Nope, the 5 of them head back through the Barrens one last time and into the sewer station. They find a purse that Bill recognizes as belonging to Audra, which sends him running down the sewer tunnels by himself like a stupid, dumb idiot. But turns out that was just for a dramatic commercial segment, and as soon as the movie returns, the gang gets back together and continues on as a team. Ad breaks, am I right? They finally get to the hub of the sewer again, the same place they faced off against Pennywise last time, and sure enough, shit starts going down again. First, they see a paper boat sail on down to where they're standing, and then they're greeted with the greenish sight of zombie Georgie, who's still kind of a cute kid despite all the festering on his face. Bill wills Ghost Georgie away by denying him any power, and then an image of Pennywise appears like it's being projected onto the wall by a substitute teacher who, you know what, just doesn't really feel like teaching that day. Although Richie complains that there's no way they can fight evil incarnate like it, Bill knows what's up.
It wakes up every 30 years and it feeds. And in order to feed, it has to take on some kind of physical form.
So that's pretty much the TLDR of what it is, in case anyone asks. They set the boat afloating and follow it deeper and deeper into the sewer system, all the way to this bone door straight out of a grim fairy tale. Before they go in, Eddie tells them he's a virgin because he's never loved anyone but them, and also because in the movie they didn't get around to the whole gangbang thing. This scene does, however, add to my suspicion that he's a gay-coded character. They finally open the door into the ultimate set.
He is.
A big old cave with spider webs everywhere that hold lots of dead bodies and one Bill's wife. Before he can go get her, it comes out as a giant spider. Yep, it's a big-ass spider. Surprise? I mean, he's not technically a spider. It looks like he's only got 6 legs, but he's pretty much a spider. It could definitely look better, but what are you gonna do, guys? They have a miniseries budget, and the book has them going through space-time and shit. Bev shoots Spider It with her silver pieces, but she misses the first one, and the other just bounces off his exoskeleton. It Spider rears up and is all, "Get in my belly!" His dead lights blinding Bill. The lights also blind Ben and Richie when they go to try and help him. Bev runs off to fetch her arrows, and Eddie remembers his battery acid moment from childhood, so he tries it once more.
This is battery acid. Now you disappear.
Except it doesn't work this time, and It Spider picks him up with his spider hand claws and squeezes him. Bev manages to find an earring and aims it straight for the deadlights. He lets it go, and it's a direct hit, giving us this weird keyed-in fireworks show in It Spider's belly. It Spider drops Eddie and runs away, but it looks like the damage is done. The rest of the gang holds Eddie in their arms as he dies, our 8th victim in this movie almost 3 hours in. Bet none of you expected this to have more kills than Scream, did you? Eddie's death rallies who aren't gonna let it escape again.
That thing comes back when I'm 70.
Let's finish it once and for all.
They find it limping away, injured and weak, so they go and push it over and then kick and punch the crap out of it. Through their teamwork and Bill's crazy determination face, they're able to kill it. And yeah, kicking and punching's a little lame, but they also tear its heart out like they're Jim Carrey in that fantasy sequence during Dumb and Dumber, so you know what, I'm not gonna shit on it too much. With it dead for good, its evil spell is lifted, and Bill catches Audra as she descends from the ceiling in her little cocoon. She's catatonic though, not the best news for Billy Boy, so it's a bittersweet moment when they're standing outside the sewer with her and Eddie's body. Womp womp. Narration from Mike lets us know that he wrote everything down so he wouldn't forget anything, and that he thinks it's time for him to finally move on from Derry. He sums up what became of everyone else. Richie got to star in a movie that looks like it would go straight to video and still lose a ton of money. Bev and Ben got married and pregnant in a matter of weeks after the incident, and Bill and Audra are just now leaving Derry, even though Audra is still all messed up. Before he gets in the taxi though, Bill sees his old bike Silver, which sparks one last idea to give us a happy ending. He takes Audra on a very dangerous joyride through the streets of Derry, and the magic of his love and his noble steed are enough to snap her out of her trance. She comes to during what must be the most terrifying bike ride of her life. The camera pans out and the credits start with one last laugh from Pennywise. Do I look older? I feel older because I just summed up a 3-hour movie for you guys. At least it was a good one with a decent amount of kills too. How many? Let's find out and get to the numbers.
James, come on.
There were 9 deaths in Stephen King's It, which is 9 more than some of you expected, because I guess you really don't know the story.
Like
of the
clown
victims, one
spider.
was a little girl,
Yep.
7 were males of various ages, and the last was a giant evil demon spider clown thing. Yeah, that's a weird breakdown when it comes to gender, so, you know, whatever. At a runtime of an insane 3 hours and 7 minutes, that comes out to a kill, on average, about every 20 minutes. Golden Chainsaw for Coolest Kill doesn't have a lot of options, so I'll give it to Belch. There's no blood or anything, but I think it's cool the way he folds
I can
it
agree with
that.
that.
It's one of Frozen Terror. It's really
Belch.
almost ready for lamest kill. Take your pick. I guess Vic, since we never even hear a description of what happened to his body. And that's it. The ABC miniseries production of Stephen King's It was released in 2 parts back in 1990, and while it has its flaws, it's a solid effort when it comes to translating this massive book to screen. And hey, don't worry, we get to see another attempt at a movie version in just a week. As for us, we're getting back on the Chucky train next Friday for Child's Play 3. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count.
Oh man, the new one comes out in a week. Nope.
No, it's been out for a while now.
We're late as fuck on this.
Yeah, we are pretty friggin' late. So late, he's actually done a kill count to the new one. Woo! Yeah. Woo. So, like I said, when I was a kid, that movie scared the shit out of me. Like, bad. I mean, I hated clowns for a long time after seeing this friggin' movie.
And it didn't really scare me that bad, and I guess I've just never had much of a fear of clowns.
Well,
like I need to watch what's it fucking called? Is it Terrifier?
Terrifier? What?
There's a movie with a title like that out right now that stars a killer clown, and he's supposed to be absolutely goddamn horrifying. Like, and it's supposed to be one of the better horror movies that's been out in a while, and I still haven't got to see it yet because my buddy watched it without me.
Oh,
but
well, yeah. Well, have you seen the new It?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
he's still not terrifying as a clown to me, but like some of the things he did to scare them were kind of spooky.
The headless body running through the library. You know, they actually filmed someone running in reverse in a green screen suit for that. They filmed the person running in reverse, like. That's why it looked so awkward when it was running.
Yeah.
And I love when they think of stuff like that. Like, you see, filmmakers, I hope. Well, I can say I hope, but I think filmmakers nowadays are finally tapping in that because they have this new technology and everything, that doesn't mean they need to be lazy when it comes to thinking of ways to scare people. Because we've had some pretty damn good horror films here recently, and I think they've actually come out, I think they've actually had a lot better stuff to them. Like, you think of Get Out, you think of A Quiet Place, you think of the new 2017 It, you think of Don't Breathe, you think of all of the, which me and Kyra and Heather watched.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen Don't Breathe?
Mm-mm.
Oh, man. Were you here when we...
I think I was streaming when you guys were doing that.
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, definitely check it out. It's worth it.
Visage, which scared the shit out of me.
Hey, you got a scare? We got a scare.
Yeah.
You should have heard them.
I actually did hear them at one point.
Ah!
I heard
And then there was a Cabin in the Woods, which... There was one part in Cabin in the Woods. Here's what happened. You remember when... you've seen Cabin in the Woods,
yeah,
right?
It's one of my favorite movies.
So, you remember when they're driving the RV through the tunnel, and you see this hawk flying, and it flies into the thing that disintegrates it.
Yeah.
They were too busy like talking back and forth because I think maybe they thought they could have a little bit of a breather from the plot and everything, and I'm sitting there and I see it happen, and I look over and I hear no reaction. I'm like, wait, what? And I look and they're like looking at each other, and I'm like,
when homeboy drove his fucking bike into it, they didn't see it coming
yes!
at all.
Yes! Actually, I was hoping for a moment like that because I looked over at him and I'm like, did y'all see that? See what?
Never mind.
Nothing.
You're like, he said it's not important enough to rewind.
It's not important enough to rewind.
It's kind of important.
I know it is, but I wanted to see their reactions because when the very moment he lifts off and gets halfway through, Kong, the reaction is like nothing I've ever seen before from both of them. Like they just go, ah! Oh, God. Oh, did I crash it? Oh, thank God. I didn't crash it. Thank God. I thought I crashed OBS. I was like, oh, God, no.
Oh, no.
That would have sucked.
That would have been terrible. Terrible. I'm sorry. I need to say it like that, like the character. Terrible.
Absolutely
I need to
terrible.
go Charles Barkley. Absolutely terrible. So, yeah, my jokes are like a napkin. They're terrible. So, yeah, Stephen King's It... the fact that they had to put Stephen King's It, I think what they had to do was did Stephen King assist with writing the screenplay for this? Because if he did, that would explain a lot.
I don't know if he did or not. I don't think he's really assisted with many of the movies based off his stuff.
Well, the only one that he's actually like directed, wrote, and everything written and everything like that has been let's see. There it is, miniseries.
1927.
Yeah, based on, written by. Okay, maybe he had to approve he had to approve it. I don't know, but anyway, there's been a few films. Number one is Maximum Overdrive, which for those of you who have not seen that film, holy hell, what a film! And also there was a version of The Shining. He was reportedly so unhappy with the movie version of The Shining, which is considered one of the best psychological horror movies of all time. He said he hated it, and he wanted to do it himself with his way of doing it.
The weird thing that I noticed about when I watched the one that he did himself is that a lot of it was fucking scene for scene.
That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. He wanted a scene for scene recut instead of an artist's interpretation that works better as film, because in book form you're able to get away with a lot more because you mentally build.
But it's just he was basically just making another essentially copy of Kubrick's film. It was so similar,
except there was a lot of details that I don't think should have been included, like the stuff about the boiler. I'm like, the boiler, it's just because Pat Hingle, God rest him, he's just like, so what you need to know about the boiler is this, and this here, and this here, 20 minutes later, and this here, and this here, 5 more minutes later, and this here, and that shit about, oh wait, I forgot the backside of the boiler, and this here, and this here. Yeah, and it continued on for some time.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that you have to cut out as a film because films need to flow in a natural manner. That's why some of the best adaptations I've ever seen is the Peter Jackson's versions of The Lord of the Rings, because The Lord of the Rings are massive. And
they did have to cut stuff, but they still made it flow pretty well.
Yeah, well, they had to they created scenes, they abridged certain scenes to make them flow better. What I think filmmakers need to do from now on is they need to do an unabridged version for people who want to see a fully unabridged for Harry Potter. I wish they would have done it for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Do a full unabridged version of shot for shot remake of the entire thing, and then do a theatrical cut. The theatrical cut is released to be a more flowing film, a better representation when it comes to filming. But hey,
I guess I don't know how much that would cost to do though. That would be expensive as fuck.
Not really, not as much as you'd think. Because do you know how much money they spent on the final 2 Lord of the Rings films combined? I think it was $150 million for just those 2 films. That's nothing by comparison. By comparison to what we have nowadays. Because if you look at the Harry Potter films, the first Harry Potter movie grossed worldwide almost $1 billion. If you give them a budget of $200 million and say, I want you to film an unabridged version, and then you can film your abridged version that has scenes added in, scenes taken out, blah blah blah, that makes it a better flowing film. But then whenever everything is all said and done and we release this on DVD, because home media at that time was such a big thing. They were doing special director's edition cut of the film on DVD that you can only buy here or only buy there, or only available for a limited time. That's just like they did Sin City, the recut edition, which actually I had, and it had the first Sin City comic with it included, and I thought that was so awesome. But if they would have done that with the Harry Potter films, and you'd have had it presented like an old tome, have it look like the spine of it look like a book, and just be like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, with no abridged or anything like that, just Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone, whichever one you want to go with. Depending on your region. If you're in the UK and worldwide, philosopher. If you're here in the States, sorcerer, because apparently philosopher is too offensive of a term and for American readers. I don't fucking know. But anyway, I think effectively I'd like to try that one day. I'd like to try and do that. I would like to try and make a film shot for shot, but also film the stuff that would be better as a working script, as a working film. And then when it came to home release, you could release the unabridged version, because I think that would be a way to entice people to buy a DVD version, because they feel like they're getting their money's worth. They're getting a whole friggin' smorgasbord of other stuff that they didn't get in the theatrical version. Yeah. Versus we're gonna release the standard edition. Oh, I'm gonna go buy it. You buy it. It's like there's nothing here. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, but here's the special edition with with deleted scenes and a different cut of the film. And it's just like, why didn't you guys offer that at the beginning? We wanted to see if you were stupid enough to buy the first one. Thanks, assholes. But yeah, I'd like to try that, like I said. But anyway, I'm sorry, I've been rambling too much. And this is a 40-minute video. Wow. God, I need to learn to shut the fuck up.
Oh, we also watched 2 full.
Oh, that's true. That is true. We did watch 2 full ones. So, Kyra, what did you ever see the It miniseries?
Not the miniseries, no.
Okay, but you did see the newer one.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. And what was your opinion on the newer one?
I like the newer one, but like we went to see it with him and Chance and Andrew, and they're like, if you would have read the book, you would have been disappointed.
What?
That was Chance, anyways.
Oh, that was Chance. Yeah.
Chance fucking loves the book.
I guarantee you, I know why he loves the book, because of the kitty gangbang that happens at the end of the first half.
No,
prick.
So now Chance is never gonna come hang out on our channel.
I'm joking,
Chance.
I'm joking, Chance. I'm joking. The book, to me, the book was a bore. God, it had so much stuff in it that did not need to be there.
Like for some reason he loves it. Like,
well, no, he can love it all he wants.
But
he's entitled to his opinion.
You know how people are. If you love a book, you basically can't like the movie.
Yeah,
like, no
fuck those
people.
Yeah, fuck those people who have that and just don't understand the art of filmmaking. Look, here's the thing.
I kind of understand that, because it's like I loved the Walking Dead comic, and as a result, I could not enjoy the show at all. The show was shit in my opinion.
You do realize that Robert Kirkman, would you at least say this? Would you say the first season is good enough?
I would say the first episode was the best part of it, and now beyond that, I hated it.
Really?
Yeah. Because the first episode was frame for frame from the comic, and I was like, oh my god, they're finally doing something that I wish they would do, and they're just bringing something that I love to life.
Well, if you do a frame for frame thing, people are going to...
with music, and I can see it with, live voices and movement and stuff like that without changing it. I know what happens, but I'm getting to see something that I love brought to life. I don't see why nobody else sees the appeal in that. Everybody says
I see the appeal in it.
It has to change, and you got to change it because people already know what happens. I don't agree.
Well, here's the thing that I will say this. A shot-for-shot remake, I would be all for on The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. I would be all for that.
But I was so stoked, and then when episode 2 started and they just started making all kinds of shit up, I was like, God damn it.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the problem.
Here's the problem. A lot of stuff I didn't agree with.
You know what they had to do? They had to appease the producers at AMC who wanted this story told and that story told. Oh, we got to have this character here. Why is this character got to be here?
We watched all these zombie films, and there has to be a character that's a complete badass in this that just doesn't die, that everybody fucking loves. And of course, everybody fucking loves that character that's made up and is just the badass and shit.
Well, Daryl.
Yeah, he's not a fucking thing in the comics.
I know he's not a thing in the comics, but I've read the comics up to a certain point. I like Daryl. I think they made him a little bit too much of a. I think they made him a little bit too much of a living MacGuffin. But
I love Norman Reedus because, Boondock Saints and shit before that.
Yeah, dude, fucking Norman Reedus.
He's awesome. I don't like Daryl as a character.
Well, that's fine.
Didn't like that they had to pull in zombie movie tropes and shit to add to their series. And then halfway through, they didn't even do that anymore. They just threw out zombies in general, it seemed like almost. And it was like it's just mainly a soap opera where they're like, oh, yeah, By the way, occasionally they'll be like, yeah, by the way, there are zombies, but we don't really care about that anymore. Like, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I get that, and the soap opera bullshit is one reason why Frank Darabont ducked out after the first season.
Mm-hmm.
You see, he had a writing staff that he wanted to add to the lore, but didn't want to do too much with it. But the producers at AMC pissed him off so bad after the first season, he was just like, I'm done. Fuck this shit. I'm out. And the whole thing about adaptation is that as much as I want to see a shot-for-shot remake of say something like Ender's Game and stuff like that, the way Hollywood is now, until somebody does it, until somebody takes that leap, it is never going to change. Yeah. Oh wait, until someone takes that leap and it's a success. I take that back. If it's a success critically but not financially, maybe over time. But if it's a success immediately, if it's a success immediately, both critically and financially, good Lord, Hollywood will jump on board in a heartbeat. Hollywood is pretty much just a bunch of spoiled rich people who say, we know what's art.
Oh, I just thought of an example of something. Basically, short stories have already proven that this can be a successful format when you just bring something to life rather than alter it, like, heavily. Because that Extraordinary Tales that I told you about took the Poe short stories, and they were exactly the Poe short stories. They were just animated and brought to life and narrated by awesome people.
But that's Poe doing short prose, like short stories, or versus Stephen King, which is an 1,100-page fucking novel.
Yeah.
You could wear that as a bulletproof vest and probably stop at 357
You'd have to do
Magnum.
a TV series to even be able to remotely consider creating it all like as exactly as it was written. And
well, yeah.
Even then, you couldn't put a child gangbang in it and get away with it.
No, no.
Nobody would want you to. So everybody's awkward as fuck about that. They're just like, yeah, we're just going to pretend that wasn't the thing that Stephen King decided was a good idea.
Oh yeah, Stephen King. This was cocaine Stephen King too. Because Stephen King didn't stop doing cocaine.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Well, he didn't stop doing cocaine until like the mid-90s when his wife was just like, you need to stop. And he's just like, what? I'm busy on my 7th novel this year. What's up? Yeah, and to which she's just like, the cocaine has to stop or I'm leaving. And he's just like, fuck. All right. And then he calls up his publisher and he's like, all right, guys, I gotta slow down. My wife doesn't like me doing cocaine, so I'm not gonna put out as many novels this year. And all of a sudden, his publisher is just like, "We understand, Stephen. Thank you. We understand. We understand, Stephen. Just let us know when you have your next novel ready." And they hang as soon as they hang up. The publisher's just like, "Thank God! Oh my God! 7 novels in a year." What the fuck is this guy on? What kind of cocaine is he getting? Is he getting it donkeyed straight up from fucking Colombia?
Probably.
God.
He's just getting it in his Colombian coffee every morning.
Yeah, he's just doing. Yeah, he's pulling a. Actually, Stevie Ray Vaughan used to do that, and he actually did it so much it rotted the lining of his stomach away.
Oh God.
He actually had to have surgery done to like get rid of diverticulitis.
Damn. That's rough.
I hear commotion. I hear walking.
Oh shit! It's ghosts. We better end the video and
Yeah,
get
we
the
better-
fuck up there and
Yeah.
get our
We need to
fucking
end this.
vacuum cleaner backpacks.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We are the Renegades. This was Dead Meat's Kill Counts in It, the 1990s miniseries by James A. Janice. If you want to see the original videos, links are in the description down below, as always. And until next time, signing off, I'm Nate.
Click all the buttons.
Yes.
Unless you already clicked them, then don't click them again.